So we've got a cone here. The angle between the axis and the slant height is alpha, where alpha equals tan to the minus 1 of a half. So alpha equals tan to the minus 1 of a half. That means that's the opposite over adjacent must be a half. So that's x. So this bit must be x over 2 is the radius there. And initially the container is empty and the liquid is added at the rate of 14 centimeters cubed per minute. This is going to be a rate question. So centimeter cubed, that's volume. So, and per time, so that'll be dV by dt equals 14. That's what that says. Okay. Show that the volume V of the container is given this, and it tells us the volume of a cone is a third pi r squared h. So the first part, volume of cone equals 1/3 pi times r squared, and the radius is x over 2, so x over 2 squared times by the height, which is times by x, and that is 1/3 pi, that'll be x squared over 4 times x, and that equals pi x cubed over 12, which is what it said. Or I suppose if you really wanted to, that equals 1/12 of pi x cubed, as they've got it there. Now what have we got to find here? The depth, the rate at which the depth of the liquid, that's x, is increasing when the depth is 8. So I've got to find the dx by dt. And if knowing what I've got to find is helpful. So find dx by dt. And this is going to be a related rate of change. So what is dx by dt? It is going to be using the chain rule. It's going to be using dx by something times by something by dt. And so what we got here, fairly obviously, these are going to be dv's, and in essence they would cancel out. But I always put those in to start off with. Those are going to be dv's. So now I want to work out what dx by dv. I can do dv by dx, work out what that is, and then I can take the reciprocal or flip it to get the other bit. So I want to work out dv by dx. That equals 3 comes down to 12, so that would be 3/12 pi x squared, and that is a quarter of pi x squared. And since I'm going to have to flip it, it'll be this one. It'll be easier for me to write down as pi x squared over 4. Therefore, dx by dv equals 4 over pi x squared. And so I know what dx by dv is, I know what this is, and dv by dt, they told me it was 14, so now I can do it. Dx by dt equals dx by dv, which is this, so 4 over pi x squared, times by dv by dt, which is 14. And so this equals 4 14s, 56 over pi x squared. And it wants me to have it when the depth is 8. So when x equals 8, the rate is 56 over 64 pi, which equals 0.27852. And it wants to give it to me in centimeters per minute, correct 2 decimal places. So that equals 0.28 centimeters per minute. Either having to do per minutes, let's do per minute like that, to 2 decimal places. And that's question 3 done.